Hello and thank you for joining us. In this video we're going to walk you through the desktop application's full auto mode and what it can provide for you, as well as how to customize the settings to meet your specific expectations and needs. Before we get into that, if you could take literally 2 seconds to give us a quick thumbs up and subscribe, I promise you that you won't regret it. We're going to have lots of good material and content coming your way to help you with your daily fantasy sports and sports betting activities. Okay, here we go. So let's start by first logging into StatShark as was shown in our downloading and installing video, and get ourselves to the initial primary analytics window of the StatShark application. As you can see, at the time of this video, the default sport for the primary analytics window is currently set to NFL. However, that may change season by season. The first thing we'll want to do is to pick a clearinghouse, either FanDuel or DraftKings. We will then pick the sport that we want to perform analytics on. Next, we'll choose a date that we want to look at. The default date is always today's date. However, if you would like to go back in history, you can do so by simply using the calendar date picker. We will then choose a slate for today. In this case, we'll use the main slate for this evening's games. Notice that in full auto mode, all of the menu items on the left-hand navigation bar are grayed out, meaning they are not available for use. When you progress to semi-auto mode, you can see that player filters are available, and as you progress through the optimization process, other filters and settings will be available to you. However, full manual analytical capabilities of the StatShark application are still not available to you, as can be seen when you look at the left-hand navigation bar. Once you enter expert mode, you can now see that all of the in-depth analytical tools are available to you. In this video, we will not go over all of the capabilities made available to you in expert mode, but we will take you through the process of using full auto mode and also customizing full auto mode. Let's start by simply running an optimization process using full auto mode without any customization. As can be seen in the final output, we've generated 20,000 lineups after looking at 2,304,960 permutations. Many ask, why do we generate so many lineups? The fact is that 20,000 lineups can actually be increased to 100,000 if you prefer. The reason we create so many lineups is that when you have a larger number of valid lineups, and then you go through the process of filtering and sorting down to a smaller group having better attributes, the likelihood of having winning lineups is increased. As I am sure you know, the leading competition will typically only provide you 150 lineups compared to the tens of thousands of lineups that StatShark provides you. So, now that we've done this initial run, the question is, what parameters were used to select players and generate the lineups? Let's go through that now. The first thing we'll want to look at is the process that we go through to build lineups, and specifically the workflow of the StatShark application. As can be seen here, we start by filtering our players. From that subset, we would then like to call the player universe, which allows us to bucket players based upon salary. So, for example, some people like to pick as many high-paid players as possible and then backfill with a few low-paid players in order to make the salary requirements of a lineup work. Other people prefer a more balanced approach where they pick players across all salary ranges. The culling process allows us to dictate the number of players that are selected within each salary range. We then move on to the optimization process, which also has a number of customizable parameters which allows you to dictate what is most important to you in the optimization process. Finally, closing out the process, we are able to filter our lineups based upon a number of attributes that are important to you, and then we are able to sort our lineups in order to bring the best lineups to the top based upon your own requirements and wishes. Let's take a quick look at the player filter interface. In order to access the various filters and setting interfaces, we need to first go into expert mode. Upon clicking Expert, you will notice that the left-hand navigation bar is no longer grayed out and has become active. From there, you will want to click on Player Filters in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Within this screen, you see that there are a number of attributes, which can be applied to all positions, or you can also apply filters to each position individually. Any filters you apply while working on the All tab can be overridden when you go into the individual tabs for each position. The initial range shown for each attribute includes the lowest available value within the current universe and the highest available value within the current universe. Once you have set any value within this interface, when you reopen this interface, the values that you've last set each of the attributes to is what will come up the next time you open the filters. The various buttons on the page allow you to save filter settings just as you would a spreadsheet or Word document, to load those filters back in order to reuse them. And once you have found a group of settings that you like, you can set that as the default set of filters. When you run full auto mode, it is the settings you have saved as default which will be opened and used in the fully automated process. This is true for each set of filters and settings that we will go through now. Again, it is when you set your preferred settings as default, that is what will be used in the full auto mode. As can be seen here, we have set and applied a number of filters, thus reducing the size of the universe of players available for selection for this evening's games. We will now move on to the next phase of player filtering and selection, that being the process of culling the remaining universe. We are now going to click on the Optimize button. Realize that when you are in full auto mode and you click upon the Optimize button, it kicks off the process of automatically applying all of your filters and settings, reducing the overall universe to players that match your specific requirements, and building lineups without you having any interaction with filters and settings. However, in that we are currently in expert mode, clicking the Optimize button will open up the culling and optimization parameter windows. As mentioned previously, culling allows you to tell the computer to automatically pick players based upon a given metric, such as rank or projected points, and based upon their given salary. As such, you can build a pool of players to be optimized bucketed within salary ranges, thus allowing you to limit or increase the number of expensive, mid-range, or inexpensive players from which your lineups will be built. Just as we had seen in the Player Filters window, we have the ability to save and import settings, as well as the ability to set as default. Again, it is the default settings that will be utilized in full auto mode. Upon clicking the Cull Now button, you will see that your list of players to be optimized is automatically created. This list is the result of both the player filters you had applied earlier, as well as the culling process that we've just finished setting up. We now move on to the lineup optimization settings, which allows us to choose which metric we would like to optimize by, as well as how many lineups do we want to generate in the optimization process. Additionally, you'll see that you have the ability to elect to either run probabilistic determination on the lineups that are generated or speed up the process a bit by unchecking that box. Again, just as we had seen in the prior two settings windows, you have the ability to save and import your settings as well as set as default. As has been true throughout, it is the default settings that you set that will be used in the full auto mode process. Upon clicking the Build Lineups button, we will kick off the process, which will look at millions of permutations and generate a final set of lineups in accordance with the sample size you had chosen. Upon completion of the optimization process, your lineups window will open. As can be seen here, we examined 9,185,400 possible lineups to generate the 51,000 lineups that was requested in the optimization settings window. When looking at this window, if you were to scroll to the right, you would also see each of the players within each of the positions for each of the lineups. On the left-hand side of each of the rows, as shown here, you have a number of statistics which allows you to sort and filter lineups so that you can bring the most preferred lineups in accordance with your requirements to the top of this list. We will now open the lineup filters window by clicking on the filters icon in the upper left-hand corner. As can be seen here, this window is very similar to what we saw for player filters, although they pertain to your lineups as a whole. Again, we see buttons allowing you to save and import settings as well as set as default. As mentioned previously, it is the default settings that you have set which will be used in full auto mode. Upon applying the filters as we've set them here, you can see that we've reduced the total number of lineups from 51,123 to 16,269. Upon completion of the filtering process, you may additionally sort the columns by clicking on the various column headings to further refine your lineups and bring those which you feel most meet your specific requirements to the top of the list. You will always have the ability to sort your lineups regardless of whether or not you are in full auto mode or expert mode. Once you've completed sorting your lineups, you can use the automated upload function in order to get your lineups into either FanDuel or DraftKings. In order to understand how to do that, please be sure to watch our video on how to use the automated upload capabilities. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and if you could give us a quick thumbs up and subscribe, we truly appreciate it. Have a great day.